Fecal transplant, what's that? I want one. Find out on this next episode of Digest This.
Welcome to Digest This, the show that helps you revolutionize your digestive health. Here are your hosts, Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato.
Hello, and welcome to Digest This. I'm Dr. Liz Cruz, and I've got Tina Nunziato sitting right here by my side. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are one of our regular listeners, we thank you, and we appreciate so much that you continue to hang out with us every week, about 15 minutes a week. We know everybody has hectic schedules. Why are you laughing?
I think it's so cute that you point out 15 minutes a week.
Yeah, so I mean, it can vary anywhere from 12 to 20. So I just kind of averaged it out. If you're a new listener, we welcome you. We thank you for joining us. And so, yes.
Fecal transplant.
Fecal transplant.
I thought we had podcasted on this, but apparently not. We have not podcasted
Apparently
on
not.
this. Yeah, and so this came up. Well, if you listened to last week's podcast, we talked about the biome and how hot the biome is. And one of the things that came from that conversation with a friend they were at telling me about how South Park was talking about, South Park, the cartoon, was talking about the biome, and they were talking about fecal transplants. But they didn't use the formal term, the scientific term of fecal transplant. They were calling them like butt, something like poop up the butt or something like that.
Awesome.
And then the whole thing was everybody wanted Tom Brady's poop, that he was the golden child of poop, and everyone was lined up at Tom Brady's house because everybody wanted their poop to shove up their butt. And they just were making fun of fecal transplants. And my friend was like, is that a real thing? Like, do people really shove other people's poop up their butt? And I'm like, yes, that is a real thing.
It is a real thing.
And I told Dr. Cruz, I'm like, we have to podcast on this because, I mean, obviously this is a hot topic right now with South Park, and people want to know, is that a real thing?
It is a real thing. And actually, I'm surprised we haven't podcasted about it because, yes, it is a real thing. It's something that we have referred our patients off for. And basically, yes, they are actually getting poop
from someone
else that gets put into their colon via a colonoscopy typically, or a flexible sigmoidoscopy. And what they're getting is stool from a healthy donor. Okay, so yes, someone has actually donated their stool.
Can you imagine being a poop donor?
Yes, and it gets tested.
Yes,
it goes through a lot of testing. Because there are certain criteria. There's criteria, and I don't know what all the criteria is, but there are criteria that they have to fulfill in order for this stool to get approved to be used for fecal transplant. And it's actually FMT, which is fecal microbiota transplantation. Okay, and so it is something.
I don't think South Park called it that.
Yeah, what did they call it?
Poop.
Something.
I don't know.
Yeah,
shoving poop
in him up.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that I think is fascinating, and then we'll go back and talk about what it's used for. But you can actually take poop in a capsule and swallow it. Okay, and so there is a product out there that is called Vowst, and I actually knew that there was stool in a capsule form that you could take. I didn't know what it was called until I went out and researched it, and it's called Vowst.
And that just came out recently.
Yeah, I don't know when it was approved, but it has been approved by the FDA as how the same as the fecal transplants. That goes in through the butt, in the rectum.
So if you take the capsule, don't chew it.
Oh my goodness, yes, please don't chew it. And honestly, I don't know a lot about the capsule, so we're not going to go into any sort of detail on this. However, it is out there. You can actually take a capsule that has like fecal spores in it, and take it in that fashion.
Poop pills.
Poop pills. So what's it used for? I mean, the main indication for fecal transplant or for these capsules is something called C. difficile, which is Clostridium difficile infection. All right, and Clostridium difficile is a bacteria, and people, when they get this infection,
So people might know it as C. diff.
yeah, C. diff. It's actually used quite commonly.
Yeah.
C. diff, and typically a person will develop C. diff if they get C. diff. Typically, it occurs after having taken antibiotics for some sort of infection, and these people can develop this infection anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks later. I mean, I've actually seen patients develop this infection even 3 months after getting treated for some sort of infection. Okay, and it doesn't have to be any sort of fancy or prolonged treatment. I mean, I have had patients who had it who will tell me that they were maybe treated for a sinus or a bronchitis, that they took the antibiotics for 1 week or 10 days. And now they've developed this C. difficile infection. And I've seen people get really sick to the point of being in the ICU, in the intensive care unit. So the fecal transplants have been approved, and it's typically for someone who's had 3 bouts of C. difficile colitis or infection where they've been treated with antibiotics, okay, because the treatment for C. difficile is antibiotics. And so if this person's been treated for the C. difficile infection, 3 different courses, okay, where they get treated, but it recurs or it doesn't improve, they get another course of antibiotics, a 3rd course of antibiotics.
And typically it's getting stronger. The antibiotics
Exactly.
are getting stronger. You're on them longer.
Maybe, exactly. Then there could be the indication, then at that point, for the fecal transplant. And the treatment, the success for the fecal transplants is actually very high, okay? And then the other indication would be someone who's actually been like in the intensive care unit 2 times with C. difficile infection that was very serious, very severe. So it is a thing. You can get treated. That's really the main indication for the fecal transplant. I'm not aware of any other indication at this point. Maybe there's something out there that I'm not aware of, but the main indication is the C. difficile infection that patients can get.
Apparently, if you want to be superhuman and awesome, then you would get Tom Brady's poop.
Exactly, the golden poop.
The golden poop.
poop.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting because our last podcast we talked about the biome, our microbiome, and how hot that is now. People talking about the biome and how when your biome gets off balance, how we get very sick, and this happens with antibiotic use. So this is a clear, why fecal transplant is a clear indication for someone who's been on antibiotics, long periods of time, a lot of antibiotics. But that just tells you how literally, like how did they come up with this? Like, let's take somebody else's poop that has really good bacteria in it, and let's put it in this person that doesn't have, good bacteria. I mean, that tells you how important the bacteria is to your biome, that people are willing to put other people's poop inside of them.
Or swallow capsules.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know, what else do we have to say about the biome to show how important it is and what lengths people go to?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that we very commonly do with patients who are on antibiotics, I mean, maybe they're coming to us and they're on an antibiotic for some infection that someone else started them on antibiotics for, or maybe they just took antibiotics within the last month or 2. We're really big on telling patients, listen, get on probiotics, which are healthy bacteria, and take that. I mean, especially if they've just been on antibiotics, or if we're going to maybe give them antibiotics for an infection. Like the 2 most common infections that we treat in our practice are H. pylori. All right, so Helicobacter pylori infection in the stomach and diverticulitis. All right. And every once in a while, we'll get someone with a C. difficile infection, but the 2 most common ones are the H. pylori and the diverticulitis. And so we'll tell those patients, get on probiotics. And even after you finish the antibiotics, keep taking these for the next, couple months, twice a day.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned taking it while they're taking the antibiotic, because with the C. diff, with the fecal transplant, they encourage you to be off antibiotics by the time you're doing the fecal transplant, okay? Because that makes sense, right? You don't want to be inserting healthy poop and then killing it with antibiotics. But when you're taking a regular antibiotic, please take a probiotic at the same time. People think they can't do that. They think, well, I got to finish this course of antibiotics before I take the probiotics. You do not have to do that. You can take them at the same time.
Yes.
And it's just going to, again, hopefully help just keep that gut populated with the good, healthy bacteria while you're killing off the bad bacteria. It's okay to take them both at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because I get that question all the time, or when I call a patient to check on them to see how they're doing with their probiotics, they're like, oh, I haven't started it yet because I got an infection and I'm on these antibiotics. I'm like, oh, actually, that's even more reason to get on them right now.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. So a lot of people ask about that and don't know that. So
Yes. So, fecal transplants, I think it's actually amazing that we have that as an option especially for someone who has suffered episodes of Clostridium difficile, C. difficile. It's great to have that as an option because the success rate of those is so high. And so to circle back again to the fecal transplant and what I said at the beginning, like I want one, like I really don't want one, but it's great to know that that is there as an option. So, I think that the best thing you could do, like Tina was saying, as far as helping to prevent getting C. difficile and having recurrent episodes that then could lead to having to get a fecal transplant, is take your probiotics. And
every day.
Take them every day. And if you're going to be on antibiotics for anything, take them twice a day.
Yep.
Take them twice a day. And I would keep taking them twice a day, even after you finish the antibiotics, at least. I mean, there's no exact guideline on it, but at least for 2 to 3 months after. Okay, because keep in mind that after taking antibiotics, you can get C. difficile even weeks, even months, 2 to 3 months after having taken the antibiotics.
What happens if, let's say someone gets really sick with C. diff several times, they don't want to do a fecal transplant, they're really scared to do that, and they keep getting C. diff. What's the worst case scenario there? I mean, are we having colons removed and we're living with a bag? I mean, what's happening at that point?
You know what? I mean, you could die. You could die from a severe episode of C. difficile colitis. Okay, because it could be come on, people, have ended up in the intensive care unit. And if you get so sick to the point where now you're septic, I mean, what could kill you is the sepsis. Okay? So I think if someone gets to that point, I mean, look, I don't do hospital work anymore, but I really doubt that person or their family would be refusing a fecal transplant at that point. I mean, at that point, if you're that sick, anything, you're anything that is going to help you live.
You were like, find Tom Brady.
Exactly.
And get his poop up my butt.
Thank you so much for joining us. So listen, if you haven't rated this podcast, I mean, come on, after today's episode, give us a 5. All right, it's going to help other people just like you to find us faster. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe because you don't want to miss an episode.
You never know what we're going to talk about.
Exactly. I mean, we're trying to keep you on your toes. And if you want to connect with us, if you have any questions or have suggestions on, podcast ideas, please reach out to us. You can find us on our website, drlizcruz.com. That's www.dr.lizcruz.com. You could do a free 30-minute wellness consult. There's a magenta color button on the homepage. You can click it and schedule that. It's free. It's 30 minutes. It's done over the phone. So you could do it from anywhere in the world. What else? You can find our email, our support email there. So please reach out to us. Send us a message if you just want to say hi. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next podcast.
Thank you for joining Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato. To learn more about their revolutionary products and services, go online to www.drlizcruz.com.